David Shearer.
Thanks, Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does he stand by all his statements?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he stand by his answers to this House on the 31st of July when he said, quote, "The inquiry at no point asked for a journalist's records," unquote, given that the emails released on Friday evening show that phone access and email records of Andrea Vance were sought by the Henry inquiry?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, I stand by that and the fully corrected answer I gave. The members also cut short my quote, which was either access records or phone records. I later on went on and corrected my answer when I said he did request that meaning the access records.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you. When he said to the House on the 31st of July, quote, "I am more than happy to show the email traffic that supports the view of the government," why did he not table emails from the 20th of May that show that the Key Henry inquiry sought both phone and email records for Andrea Vance and Peter Dunn?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pretty sure the member is referring to emails I didn't have. They were the emails that came out later on.
Order. Point of order.
Could I seek leave to table 3 emails, sir, that refer to the correspondence between the head of the inquiry, or the administrator of the inquiry, and Parliamentary Services on the 20th of May, 2 on the 20th of May and 2 on the 27th of May, which cover emails, phone logs and swipe access card logs?
Order. The easiest way is for me to put the leave. I understand they may well be in the public arena, but I put the leave. Is there any objection to that document being tabled? There is objection. Order. 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 Supplementary question. Supplementary question. David Shearer.
Mr. Speaker, why did he seek to blame a Parliamentary Service contractor for the release of email and phone records between Andrea Vance and Peter Dunn, when in fact those records were actually requested by the Key Henry inquiry?
That's right. Right,
Mr.
Honourable
Speaker,
Prime
because
Minister.
the member is confusing a number of different issues, but in fact it's quite correct. They were released by a Parliamentary Services operator.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Does the Prime Minister expect the House to believe that with all the questions and OIA requests being made, that his Chief Executive and his Chief of Staff did not inform him that the inquiry had requested and received the email and phone records of Peter Dunn and Andrea Vance?
Come on.
Well,
Right, Honourable
Mr.
Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
yes, in the case of my Chief of Staff, he wasn't aware of that until, I think, last Thursday, and I was made aware of it on the Friday. In the case of my Chief Executive, I've already publicly said that he knew about that a month earlier, and arguably he should have put that in the public domain earlier.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you, sir. In light of the last answer, did Andrew Kibblewhite offer a briefing, or was a briefing sought by the Prime Minister on what information was requested by the Key Henry inquiry before last Friday?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no, I didn't seek a briefing, and the reason for that is that I set up the terms of reference and the inquiry was run by Mr. Henry.
Supplementary question. Order. Order. Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Can he guarantee to the House that the email correspondence between Andrea Vance and Peter Dunn was not opened by anyone in his office, his department or his agency that he is responsible for?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's the advice I've received. When it was sent by Parliamentary Services, the advice I've received is it was sent to an email system where it couldn't have been opened and it was recalled within an hour.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree with the statement made by Stephen Joyce that he accepts David Henry's word over that of Peter Dunn's, that he never said he wanted access to Mr. Dunn's phone logs so as to compare them with Andrea Vance? That's on the nation, Mr. Joyce.
That's right. Order.
Well, Mr. Speaker,
I've called the right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd need to see the full statement by Mr. Joyce because as we just saw right before, Mr Shearer doctored a quote from me and conveniently left a bit out.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
To the Prime Minister, does the fact that he doesn't know about the emails from his Chief of Staff or his CEO a result of the fact that he didn't ask, wasn't told, or simply that he doesn't want to know the real questions and the real answers about the Henry inquiry?
Exactly right. Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Relatively simple. An inquiry was established under the authority of my name. That was given as independently to be run by Mr Henry. If I was in this House now answering some of the questions that the Leader of the Opposition wants me to answer, he'd be saying that my mitts were all over it and it wasn't an independent inquiry. Some time ago he was saying I didn't try hard enough. Then, by the way, they wanted the Privileges Committee. They're claiming holier than thou, but by the way, they wanted Andrea Vance's emails. Mr Speaker, it is quite remarkable if we go through all of the events in this saga.
Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, David.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Given that he can't answer something as simple as that, why should anyone trust him on his ability, on behalf of New Zealanders, to provide the oversight to the GCSB?
That's right, exactly. Right,
Well, Mr Speaker,
Prime Minister.
It's rather interesting, isn't it? Because on Sunday, I happened to watch Q&A. Actually, I got to say, on display was a real leader of the Labour Party. But anyway...
Order, just answer the question.
Speaker.
Order.
As everyone will know, the oversight of the GCSB under the proposed legislation is a lot stronger than what was put in place under a Labour government, and we all know that the reason that the Leader of the Opposition isn't supporting the legislation is because he's having his string pulled by the muppet that's sitting next to him, and he doesn't care about...
Order! That is quite a sufficient answer on this occasion. Order. Question number 5 to your order. I have a point of order from Honourable
It's
David.
not becoming of the Prime Minister in respect of this serious issue to describe members of the opposition as muppets, and I would expect you in the chair. I would expect you, sir, in the chair, to protect the decorum of this place by calling the Prime Minister to order.
Order. And the member might want to have a look at the proceedings later on today to see that I immediately did call the Prime Minister to order, so that was quite sufficient. I'm certainly not about to rule the word muppet out of order. Point of order. On order. This is a point of order. Order. This is a point of order, Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Mr Speaker, I'm standing to agree with you. You did call the Prime Minister to order, in fact, before he used that word, when he headed in that direction. Mr Speaker, he ignored you, and you did not reprimand him.
Order. No, I stood to my feet, tried to catch the Prime Minister's eye. I called point of order to him, and it would be within seconds that he ceased his answer. Is this I wanted a fresh point of order, or is
Well, Mr Speaker, it's a related point of order.
Let's hear it.
Mr Speaker, you called order. He is meant to be looking at you and listening to you. He took no notice. That's different from your account.
No, order. On many, many occasions, when ministers are giving answers, they direct it to the person who often asks the question. They don't necessarily spend the whole of their answer looking at the Prime Minister. Well, if the member wants to stay in the House, he better not suggest that I be listening. I'm doing my very best. Is this a fresh point of order?
Yes, it is,
because
absolutely.
if we're going to have more time wasting that we're getting from the member, then he won't get to stay in the House. I'll hear a fresh point of order.
Mr Speaker, I want to apologise if I gave the impression that you weren't listening, Mr Speaker. You were, the Prime Minister wasn't.
I'm very pleased to accept that point of order. Question Question number 5, Te Urara level.
Tēnā koe, Mr.